I think to this point, yeah, I think he's got a point, Stephen. But we've still got 7 players to sign, haven't we?
The thing with Sims is I don't follow him on Twitter, so if it wasn't for you tell me about this in a day, I wouldn't have known it at all. But as Graham touched on, it's the same every season. Our clan's got to win the league, they've got to do this, they're the favourites, blah blah blah. And you know, it's I think he just says these things to take the pressure off Sheffield more than anything. You know, it's a strange one. He's a guy who just likes his voice being heard, and he'll say anything to get people to react. And he's obviously ruffled a few feathers with this one. I think he said Coventry are the favourites for the league this year, and I don't really see anything from them so far for me to agree with that. But you know, it's I don't know, it's a guy who likes to talking, so I just take it all with a pinch of salt and ignore it for the most part.
And just before we finish this section off, obviously since we last recorded a podcast, the fixtures have come out, and I know, you know, I've not really had a good look at them yet, but there's one thing that struck me on Twitter, and you know, sometimes we've been known to give the club, or call the club out in a few things, but you know, I've seen Coventry Blaze adding a game to the season ticket, as such as saying that they've got 28 or 29 games, but one of them's not included on the ticket, so you're going to have to pay for the last one or something. And I think Clan came out pretty quickly when, you know, the changing the numbers of the teams and the setup came around and just said, no, your season ticket's a season ticket, and it will entitle you to get into all the league games. So, you know, you've got to give the club a wee bit of credit when it's due, Stephen, and not pulling off a similar move to what Coventry have done, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I think we discussed that at the time, whether or not we thought the Clan were going to do that, and I'm glad they didn't, you know, because it's not really a season ticket if you don't get all the league games that you're meant to be entitled to. So I'm glad the Clan have, and I feel bad for Coventry fans, not only for having to be in Coventry, but for being screwed over, quite frankly, by this turn of events.
Yeah, well, we know money's tight in the league, but, you know, sometimes you just have to give the fans a little something back. And at the end of the day, Graham, as season ticket holder, again, it's not fly-by-nights that are coming maybe once or twice every 7-8 games, or, you know, it's guys that are paying their money up front mostly every year in, year out, that are getting the benefit of this at the Clan. So, you know, all applauds to them for sticking to it and letting it happen. Probably means that all the friendlies will be full price now, right enough, but they have been every other year, so
we'll wait and see. I mean, certainly the Coventry thing, you know, you don't buy a ticket to go and watch a movie and then pay extra to watch the last 3 or 4 minutes. Yeah. You know, it's all wrong, you know, and a large part of the driver of this is the fact that clubs, not all the clubs, and certainly, you know, some of the Scottish teams were pretty late in the day in getting the whole thing moving because they didn't know if they were going to be taking part or not. But, you know, a lot of these clubs, they want the new season ticket money in as quickly as possible, as soon as possible. So fans already don't know what the team's going to look like. At the time, we didn't know exactly who was going to be in the league and who wasn't. But because the clubs want the money in quickly, there's a certain amount of onus on them to try and get things right. And I think Coventry, I had known that game as you have to pay extra for it is a bit of a joke, quite frankly. But yeah, kudos to the Clan for doing it right and including it in the season ticket. The other thing as well in the fixtures, can I just quickly touch on the fixtures just for a second?
Yeah.
Because obviously that's what we're talking about. I mean, again, it's like you say, sometimes we call the club out on things when you know, we feel the need to. But again, likewise, we should be issuing praise where it's required. And I think the club, Gareth, has done a really good job in terms of the fixtures for the Clan, especially when you see how some of the fixtures for one or two of the other clubs have panned out. I mean, I'm a big believer that, you know, we should try as much as possible to stay a Saturday night club. And certainly looking at the official games for this coming season that have been set, we get 17 Saturday nights, 5 Sunday, 5 Friday, 3 Wednesday, and 1 Tuesday, which happens to be Boxing Day. I mean, to me, that's a ratio that I think we should all be quite comfortable with. Obviously, everybody's work requirements and domestic requirements are different, but as a Saturday club, and on the basis that most clubs, if not all clubs, want as many Saturday nights as possible, I think that's a pretty good result, especially when you look at things like, I mean, Dundee's doesn't look great. They've got 1 double header, whereas I think we've got 3 double headers. So that's a bit of extra strain and expense for their fans who want to travel away. And also yet again, they've done it to themselves. The Christmas fixtures are a joke. 22nd of December, home to Fife. 23rd, away to Cardiff. 24th, back for an away game to Fife. Then you get Christmas Day, and then on Boxing Day, they're away to Manchester. I mean, I don't know who's doing the fixtures for them, but they're not doing it very well.
Who agreed to that? Do you know what I mean? Because there was criticism on Twitter of the league for letting that happen, but the league didn't let it happen. Somebody at Dundee had to agree to it first.
Well, this is the point that's made. The club has to agree to it. I mean, the only funny that we've got, and as I say, it's not a massive big deal, is that we've got a double header in Manchester. Now, Manchester's, for us, it's the easiest English team to get to, obviously, and normally you can go down there and back quite comfortably on the same day, relatively comfortably. Most people can get home at a half decent time. So why they're doubling up 27th and 28th of January in Manchester, which really means that you have to stay over if you're going to go down. If you want to see both games, you have to stay over. That's the bit that doesn't make any sense to me. It's a minor quibble on the basis, as I say, of the fact that overall I think we've done pretty well out of the fixtures meeting. But both are away games to Manchester. League away games are on consecutive nights. That's the bit that's not quite right. But other than that, very happy.
Okay, it just remains for us to go through some of the roster changes. Obviously, first of all, we'll be saying hello to a few players. The first one that we haven't covered since the last podcast being Mike Mbach. Mike's 29 years old, left winger, 5'10". Few games in the AHL, ECHL. The guy certainly has points in his resume. I'm quite hopeful when he comes over. He's going to do the same here. It certainly looks like a decent signing on paper. Stephen, have you had a chance to do your elite prospects general manager yet?
Yeah, he's looks a good player. He's got plenty of goals and points at the ECHL level, which, if we're being completely honest, is probably just about the IHL level. So he's not the big name signing that Graham has been alluding to, that he would like to see at the Clan, but I think he's a solid signing that he could play in the second line to get you some secondary scoring, which, as we've touched on a lot in this podcast, was a big issue last year. So I think of all the players we've signed so far, he's probably the one I'm looking forward to seeing the most, just to see if my Googling and elite prospects skills are up to scratch, Well,
we've done not bad last year when we were doing a wee bit of predicting, but I think you're just spot on. Although we're still saying we think we've still to sign our first line. Well, we hope we've still to sign our first line, but you think you're spot on in saying that he's a guy that we'd be looking to, along probably with Brooksy, to get that secondary scoring, Graham.
Yeah, absolutely. His points, as Stephen says, his points in the ECHL look good. He does have EHL experience, so if he's on the second line with Brooksy, I wouldn't particularly have a problem with that. Quite like the look of the guy. The only thing I didn't like was the fact that he said nothing but good things twice in his interview, which you've always got to be a bit suspicious of. But no, seriously, he looks absolutely fine. He also takes an interest in the development of young players, so unfortunately that's going to have to take a backseat this season because of the way the sport's run in this country. Yeah. But no, yeah, it looks like a decent signing. Not unhappy about that at all.
Yep. And moving on to a guy who I think could be a real character, Cameron Butt, 30-year-old, started his career as a forward. Now playing in D. He looks as if he's going to be, like we talked about earlier, kind of more the puck moving, offensive type D-man. He might even, without having seen him play, he looks like the kind of guy that could maybe quarterback the blue line on a power play. Certainly seems to be a character when you look at the stuff on YouTube, his interview, and obviously a couple of tweets he's made. Solid looking guy, not scared to drop the mitts. Kinda, again, maybe that character that they were maybe looking for, and without when for example we got Fitzy over, there wasn't a lot known about him, but he turned out to be that kind of character. I think this guy Cameron Burt could be along the same lines. Graham, what's your thoughts?
All for a bit of character, as long as he's got the performances to back it up. And yeah, on paper, this guy seems to be able to have that in his locker. So yeah, no problems with him at all. Again, when I saw it, I thought of him initially as maybe a bit of a Scott Arson type character. Not that Scott Arson's a tremendous character off the ice, obviously, but just that good, solid player, offensive, good shot from the blue line and what have you. But yeah, he looks as if he's got the attributes that are necessary. So yeah, again, as we keep saying, maybe not top quality, but still looks like a good signing. Yep.
And he's a guy that John Tripp must have known. Last year he was in the DL2 with Star Bulls Rosenheim, scoring 27 points in 40 games, is it? Which is not a bad return for a D-man in that league, Stephen. Eh?
Yeah, and I think they were the team that got relegated for the DL2 last year. So, it's getting that amount of points for a team that didn't particularly do very well by all accounts is quite impressive too. No, that's another one of them. Good signing, I think, but again, it's all very well saying he's got to do this and that, but when he see it pans out,
Well, we always put that proviso on, we're just trying to be the optimistic Clan fans, looking at the guys and much in paper as anything else, really, yeah. We always have that proviso. The next guy we got was a Landon Oslansky, who looks to be, there's been a few guys who've signed, been on the younger side in their professional careers. He again is a kind of ECHL, 25 years old, D-man, 5'10". We talk about, we've talked about already what we think. We've got 2D to sign, Stephen. We want, what we think are big, solid, stay-at-home guys. But we've seen in the past, as Graham says, Sir Susan says, size isn't everything. He looks hopefully like he could be, the younger, hungrier type player that we need to balance out the roster. Difficult to tell, when you look at this guy, what we're going to get from him. Again, we've seen some of the videos, and the Clans seem to be concentrating, I think you said it earlier, Stephen, on showing us highlights of these guys fighting. So, I don't know if that's a be-all end-all. It's just maybe something to excite the fans. I don't know if that's particularly the way this guy plays, to be honest. But, it's something we'll soon find out. His penalty minutes are, pretty up there for normal for a D-man. Again, unknown quantity. You're only looking at it and just having a stab, eh?
Yeah, I mean, something from him as well. He seems to have one hell of a shot. He's like Bart. He likes to play in the power play from the blue line from the looks of things, and he can fire them in with the best of them. So, I'm all for having offensive D-men. Obviously, you need the secondary scoring, but I'm of the opinion that D-men should be able to defend first, and that's why I'd rather have a player who can defend and create offense rather than just create offense. And I think that's where we went wrong with certain guys in the past, just looking for their offensive upside rather than the defensive one. So, he said that he's not here he's here to score points and help the team, but I'm hoping that with the same with all these guys, that if the time's not right to fight, he can walk away, because that's came back to bite us before as well.
Yeah, I kind of laughed a wee bit, I have to say, when they were making a big deal of his thunderous shot, and I looked at his stats, and he scored 4 goals in 67 games last year. I thought it might be a hard slap shot, but maybe the glass is more in danger, I don't know. Certainly the season before that, he did get a better return when I look back a bit further, but it's okay to have a big slap shot, but you've got to kind of hit the target, or create something for your teammates. And there wasn't a great deal of assists on last year either, but exciting guy. He's young, he's still learning, Graham. So again, you've got to say it's another wait and see job, isn't it?
It is. I mean, part of our problem last season, as Stephen was mentioning, is the fact that we had too many D-men who just wanted to come forward, and this is another guy that's going to be able to do that. Again, it's all down to our remaining, assuming it's going to be another 2D that we sign. With the makeup of the D as it is at the moment, we really need these guys to be stay at home. If that's the case, then guys like Oslansky can come forward and contribute a reasonable number of points as would be expected of him. And like we're saying, just one of these guys who's going to help us not get bullied off the ice. Will look after himself, wouldn't hesitate to drop the gloves if need be, as long as he doesn't give up silly